You are more than just a grade. Your intelligence won't be defined by a number. Having said this, have you ever thought about these questions?
Do you really think a 10 will make you someone in life?
Is it really worth to sacrifice your mental health over a number?
How will you possibly deal with failure?
People sometimes believe that a simple grade defines how smart they are, but the reality is that people are more than just numbers. We live in a society in which grades, instead of showing the level of preparation and understanding of a subject, seems to define your IQ. For example, if you get a 6, you're a useless person, but if you get a 10, you're a genius.
This has caused students to always worry about getting the best grades. However, this generates problems of stress and anxiety. Another problem is that most of the time people do not know how to deal with failure and take it as something bad or negative, when in reality, failures are just learnings. See the importance of this issue?
You are not a number. Stop thinking that you are. You cannot be defined as a 6 or as a 10. You are more than that. Maybe you have received a 6 or 7 as grade and feel useless, with no value, that you should have tried better. But those thoughts will lead you nowhere. There is no point of thinking about the past. Better focus on giving answer to the things you haven't solved yet, on things you can control. See your mistakes as learnings instead of as failures.
Have you ever heard or played Super Mario Bros? You probably only have played it for fun, but have you ever realized the effect it can have in our daily life? A guy named Mark Grover came with the idea to name the Super Mario effect to the process of only focusing on the final product instead of the failures. To prove this last statement, we can give you as an example some successful people.
Let's give you some context. You know who Steve Jobs is, right? Well, he was the CEO of Apple. You probably think he was an excellent student with the best grades, but he wasn't. During his teenager years, he was a problematic guy with average grades of 6 or 7. He was constantly getting suspended because of his lack of interest at school, because he already knew what his teachers were teaching to him. Anyways, this genius was crucial for the development of the world we know today. We mean the iPhone you're holding right now was thanks to him. That innovation was not because of all the tens he got at school, he obviously didn't, but because he found a way to overcome himself by recognizing his mistakes and seeing those failures as learnings and experiences.
You might have heard about the phrase, your grades do not define your intelligence. We even mentioned it here, but you are not getting the full picture on it. Some people have used it as an excuse for not working, studying, or striving at school, taking away all of the essence of the phrase.
This phrase has nothing to do with not caring about school. It's totally the opposite. The essence of this phrase is to let you know that your self-worth and who you can become in life has nothing to do with a number. It's not a secret that most schools don't care about their students' mental health, since they constantly pressure them to only memorize instead of actually understanding what they are learning. Here is where we can notice the quality of education that schools are providing to their students. It's important to have a balance between what students want to learn and what they need to learn.
Applying the Super Mario Bros. Effect can be the solution to this complex problem, since it will help you to know how to deal with failure.
We all run away from failure, and it's normal since you're not achieving what you wanted. However, we must stop running and face it. There is something that we must have very clear, and is that success can only be achieved through failure. Taking advantage of the learnings you gain from failure is the main difference between ordinary and successful people. To give you an example, imagine you just got your final grade back and you got a 6. School makes you believe that any grade below 7 is for mediocre people, and even your parents can make you believe that.
When you apply the Super Mario effect, you must review your incorrect answers to know if you really understand the topic or you just memorize it. And that's where you need to learn from your mistakes, and the next time understand everything. You will keep improving as long as you keep learning from your mistakes. A bad grade isn't a failure, it's an experience.
You must be conscious that knowing that a grade doesn't define your intelligence is not an excuse for being lazy, but to not underestimate yourself and damage your mental health.
Having a good mental health also includes feeling proud of yourself whenever you achieve something. And this is the exact same feeling you get whenever you're improving something. In this case, when you understand a certain topic of a subject. Being lazy will take you absolutely nowhere. Do you really think Steve Jobs felt lazy about his failures and stood there crying with his arms crossed? Obviously, he didn't, and neither should you. This immediately connects you to correctly using the Super Mario effect.
Let us briefly restate these main points to invite you to apply them from now on in your daily life. We believe it is important to emphasize these points because this problem affects the students more than it should. That's why we invite you to reflect on which type of learning you have. since students tend to compare themselves to others just because someone understood something faster than them. Which shouldn't be something you need to worry about, because everybody is different. Instead of worrying about if someone understands something faster than you, better worry on understanding it on your own pace.
Always remember that failing is not a bad thing. The one that never fails will never learn. Throughout all this speech, have you reflected on the questions we mentioned at the beginning? It is now the time to apply everything we mentioned to realize that a 10 is not a synonym of being successful. Just think about Steve Jobs.
Successful people study to gain knowledge, not to gain grades. Uda Birsang.